Zootopia 2 is such a fun adventure that fans almost forget how full of secrets it is. Did you notice that some questions were left unanswered in this movie? Children, did you realize that it's actually possible for a fox to have children with a rabbit in the world of Zootopia? In the scene where Nick and Judy are at the city docks, the anteater talking to them thinks it's strange that they are together as a couple. Of course, it was just a disguise used by our protagonists, but the anteater accepts the idea of them being married and having a kid extremely fast. That means that in the world of Zootopia, it might even be normal for animals to have kids only with others of their own species, like Judy's family, which has more than 200 siblings. But the fact that no one found it strange that the two were a couple with a child is proof that animals from different species can be together, and that might even make some fans very happy, right? Details like that and much more, you'll see now.
You know what's starting. It's another awesome Cinewave!
Jail. Have you noticed that Gazelle, the singer, and her dancers could actually go to jail? Yes, that could happen in the next movie. But wait, how? In the ballroom scene at the Lynx Mansion, we see the zebra officers pushing and hurting Gazelle and her dancers. Because of that, she gets extremely angry and promises she'll get revenge. Jumping forward in the movie, Gazelle and her tigers end up beating up the Zebra brothers. And even though the scene is very funny, this is actually a very serious crime. Let's remember that the Zebra brothers are police officers, and attacking law enforcement is a crime that can send someone to prison for many years. And yes, we know the zebras were wrong, but that doesn't change the fact that they were police officers following the mayor's orders at that moment. So, will the next movie start with the pop star facing charges that could land her in jail? Good thing Sheriff Bogo is a huge fan of hers, because otherwise she'd be in big trouble. Looks. You've probably noticed that Judy and Nick seem much closer in this movie, and the way they look at each other is a bit more intimate. Sure, many fans don't like the idea of seeing the two friends together as a couple, but there are quite a few moments in Zootopia 2 showing that Disney is building a romance between these characters. One example is the moment when they see each other dressed up for the fancy ball, Nick in a suit and Judy in a yellow dress. Nick makes a joke and she gives him a little punch on the arm, showing they really do have a couple-like dynamic. On top of that, the most important moment between them is when they make up after their fight. In this scene, the two basically give what we can call a declaration of love. And no, they do not officially become a couple, but Disney pushed this theme much further in the movie. Nick even says Judy is his pack, while Judy explains that Nick is part of the group she wants to build a life with. Because of that, we can say that Zootopia 2 developed the theory that one day the two will end up together. Whether that's a good idea or not, only the future will tell. Disney. One interesting detail is that this movie references Disney films several times, and one of the coolest examples is the fight between Nick and Gary, when the fox uses a frying pan to smack the snake. This scene is a very funny copy of what happens in Tangled, when Rapunzel uses the exact same weapon to hit Flynn Rider on the back of the head. It seems like Disney characters really enjoy using kitchen items as combat weapons. And speaking of kitchens, there's another reference during the chase scene in the Lynx Mansion, when we see a lion chef with a mouse under his hat. That is, of course, a reference to Ratatouille, and it was definitely a super fun joke that many people noticed in Zootopia 2. But the scene is so quick that even today, some fans still get surprised when they catch that detail. Eyes. Did you notice that Mr. Big's eyes appear in the purse shop scene? That's extremely rare in the Zootopia universe, both in the first movie and in the miniseries Zootopia Plus. When Nick refuses to kiss the ring of Mr. Big's granddaughter, the mafia boss gets furious and opens his eyes. It's a tiny detail, but so rare that it deserves a spot on our list. And of course, it's always worth remembering that Mr. Big's family is a huge reference to the classic movie The Godfather, a film many younger Zootopia fans have probably never seen, and really shouldn't since it's a movie only for adults. Do you enjoy the references in Zootopia? Comment number Zoo so we can get to know you. Crime. A very important detail that needs to be on our list is the fact that Judy was going to die in this movie. And yes, you can be 100% sure of that. When Paubert attacks Judy Hopps using snake venom, he's doing the exact same thing his great-grandfather did in the past. At that moment, he truly tried to take our heroine's life. And if it weren't for Gary and Nick, she would have died. And when you think about that, you realize how heavy this scene is for a Disney movie, because what Paubert did was an attempt to commit a terrible crime. Did you notice that detail in the movie? Did you see exactly what Paubert tried to do to our heroine? It was definitely one of the darkest moments. Tooth! Speaking of snake venom, did you notice what Disney did with Gary's tooth and the reason behind that choice? This is a very interesting detail we need to talk about. In the scene where Nick is trying to calm Gary down after the ballroom chaos, the snake ends up biting Sheriff Bogo by accident. Because of that, Gary loses a tooth, and by the end of the movie, he only has one fang left. Yes, everyone noticed that, but there is a reason for this decision. Disney needed to make a toothless snake because that would make Gary look less frightening. Snakes are not exactly the kind of animal that makes people feel safe or happy. It's much easier to feel fear toward a snake than affection, and that's why Disney decided to make Gary a snake with just one tooth, because it makes him funny and cute. So, did you notice this detail? Fake movie! Did you notice that Duke, that criminal, shows up in this movie selling Disney movies? He was the very first thief Judy managed to arrest in Zootopia when she joined the police force. But that's not really the important detail here. If you pay close attention, you'll see that one of the movies he's selling shows a version of Frozen where Sven is a moose. The problem is that Kristoff's pet in the original movie is a reindeer, not a moose. You might think this was changed because the real Sven couldn't appear in another movie, but no, that's not correct, and for a very simple reason. Sven appears as one of Maui's transformations in the first Moana movie. Because of that, it would make way more sense for the character to also appear in Zootopia 2 on the DVD cover Duke is selling. And let's remember, it's an animal universe. So what exactly does this mean for Zootopia's world? It's obvious that the movie is fake. This detail is basically telling us that Duke is a dishonest criminal trying to sell a bootleg version of the princess's movie from Arendelle. Notes! A really fun detail appears on the computer screen of one of the officers at the precinct, the same officer Nick knocked out with a soda can. If you look carefully at the screen, you'll see some sticky notes hanging there, and what's written on them is pretty cool. One of the notes says, "There's no place like 127.0.01, which is a joke for people who understand computers. That number refers to the local network, or the computer the person is currently using. So the phrase basically means there's no place like home, but in a super nerdy way. And another post-it says, and someone named Molly needs to update it. The letters stand for change password, and that's a pretty fun detail to notice, don't you think? The rich. Did you notice that there's a very strange relationship between the extremely wealthy Lynx family and the horse mayor? That's because it's a reference only adults would really understand. Unfortunately, the Lynxes use their money to get unfair advantages over most people. That happens in real life too, and it was a very interesting detail the movie added, showing that even the mayor was afraid of the richest family in Zootopia. It's the same fear our fans feel of missing our next video. And if you're not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Click and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. Mess. Did you notice that Nick lives in a super messy house? This is a detail few people paid attention to, but Nick's mess actually has a reason. He confesses to Judy at the end of the movie that his dream has always been to be part of a family, and that's proof that he truly needs to find a girlfriend and have kids someday. He doesn't take care of his own house because he doesn't feel happy living alone, and that's a really cool detail when we think about how his character was written. Grandma. Did you notice that Judy's grandmother appears in this movie? She's in the video call Judy receives from her parents, and the interesting detail is that she says she prays every day for her granddaughter to come back home and have children. In other words, Judy's grandmother is not very happy with the idea of having a granddaughter who risks her life every day as a police officer. Will she like seeing her granddaughter dating a fox? I mean, if that ever happens. Another movie. When the former Mayor Bellwether appears inside her cell, there's a detail in the setting. The cell looks identical to the villain Hannibal's cell in the horror thriller The Silence of the Lambs. The glass in the front and even the dark brick walls are exactly like the ones in the old movie, and it also shows just how truly evil Bellwether really is. Party. Remember that desert festival called Burning Mammal? It's actually a joke based on something that happened in the real world, an event called the Fire Festival, which was supposed to be one of the coolest events of the year when it happened. But in the end, everything went wrong because it was a giant scam run by dishonest people, and it became a huge meme at the time. And it's really cool to notice that Disney added references for both younger audiences and adults in this movie. Did you catch that detail in Zootopia 2? Maybe you're too young to understand the joke, but don't worry, our channel will always explain all the details both in this video and the next ones. It's almost over, but until then you can stay with us. There are 2 super fun videos waiting for you. Thanks, and see you next time.